All right, welcome in. It's another edition of Inside the Cage with myself, Mike Pendleton, and I want to clarify something real quick because I feel like I've done two episodes and not explained the meaning of the name of the show. So we see the fighters inside the cage, but I don't. I have maintained the belief that we don't know every single fighter inside the cage and we don't know their story. So that is the point of this show, and listen, this thing's kicked off very quickly. It's gotten some steam. You know, the first two we had were Dan Ige and Anthony Smith, and my next guest is someone who kind of yelled at me, told me if I ever see her in person again, don't ignore her. I'm a huge fan of her as a person and as a fighter, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. It is the one and only Jessica I. Jessica, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, I'm a little disappointed. You let me know you were at the gym, but when we were texting, setting this up, you were talking about having Tito's and juice, and I thought you were going to be doing some daytime weekend drinking, and you're at the gym.
I know, it was crazy. I had surgery 8 weeks ago on my left elbow for just some long time injuries that I've had. And, considering what's going on with this pandemic and the gyms being closed, we've all had to just settle back and not be around each other. But then my mid coach, and head coach Eric Nixick, who actually made this interview happen, was like, "Hey, what are you doing at 1? You want to catch mitts finally?" And I was like, "Yes, please." So it's crazy because I would be enjoying a cocktail, but I can't wait to have one after I hit mitts because I'm sure I'll be on such a high. It'll be hard to calm me down.
Well, I'm happy that you're back in there and, getting able to get some work in, especially during this crazy time. You kind of just mentioned it. Let's get it out of the way right now. You said it was elbow surgery. How has your recovery process been? And have you been able to take care of any other injuries you've had during this time off?
So I guess really well, my elbow surgery was something that I just felt I had been trying to push off for so long. And, one of my decisions to move to Las Vegas, was for the USCPI and all the medical knowledge that they had and things that I know that they could help me with, injuries. So, in that time, like after this last fight, my elbow, we've been managing it for a couple years with their knowledge and like some other treatment with other doctor friends of mine. And after this fight, we were like, you know what? We've finally been able to tackle your back injury and your long-time back issues. Let's tackle this so that the next time we take on the champ, we're fully healthy and ready, and we're having happy, healthy training sessions.
Now, where would you say you feel physically right now?
Well, I feel very rested and definitely anxious. Going from having elbow surgery and then getting ready to get released and then, kind of going through what we've been going through with this pandemic and, the coronavirus, like I got pushed back even more. So I'm definitely anxious. I'm super just excited to get back to work. I'm so fortunate that I work with Zebra. Matt, Kyle over there, sent me out a whole entire garage gym where I'll be able to do some grappling. And I live with my little brother and my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach. So we have a little training trifecta. So we have been able to get some grappling in right there at the house.
Well, that's got to be interesting living with your little brother. Is it still like
Well,
back?
it's my little bigger brother,
Yeah.
so he's bigger than me.
I can't. I have no comment on that because literally everyone in this world is bigger than me. So if he's your little bigger brother, then I get it. But the last time we saw you was UFC 245 in December. It is March, and obviously we have this pandemic going on. Before this all transpired and you got the surgery and all that, when were you hoping to turn it around and get back in there?
I was actually offered JoJo in the Columbus card. So, had we not decided to do the elbow surgery and just kept pushing it off, we would have been on, Columbus, Ohio card. And, thankfully for that, I feel like the little selfish inner voice in me is like, Jessica, thank God you chose to do surgery at this time. the recovery this is the best time to be recovered and nothing's scheduled. But then, on the other end of that, I don't know when I'm going to be scheduled now due to all the cancellations. And I kind of feel like that could make, that would make my return to the octagon probably not happen until July or August, and I don't care when I fight. Like, I'm not one of those people that's like, I can't fight in the summer. Or I don't mind fighting in the summer, winter, or where. Ideally, I like to stay within the States. But, we go where we have to go.
Well, I love that mentality and that mindset from you, and we'll get into all of that. But let me go back to possibly being scheduled in Columbus. You're from Cleveland. Sorry about your Indians when they lost to my hometown Cubs. I'm not a Cubs fan, but I just got to throw that out there. But no, when you look at that, and I know you're in Vegas now, was that something where you were like, because some fighters, and I actually credit you for this, some fighters would be like, it's Columbus, Ohio. I'm from Cleveland. I get a chance to fight like in my backyard. Forget this elbow surgery. I want to fight on that card. Now, obviously, there was also a pandemic going on, but do you kind of feel like you're better off that you didn't get on that card?
Yeah, considering all of those things, yes, absolutely. I think that the biggest thing that really ultimately I was looking at long-term goals, and that was a healthier me and one that, going into the Valentina Shevchenko fight, I know it'll always seem like an excuse, and nobody really wants to hear it. And I hate even really like bringing it up because I just don't like even having to explain it. But I had 6 herniations in my lower back that had just literally flared up and gotten way worse, and just never had been truly treated at. My back has just never been truly treated the best that it should be from breaking it as a kid. And I feel like going into the next time I get a chance to fight, or as well as go into a title fight, I want to be so healthy and so ready that there's no question, and when I go back and I look at that fight, I woke up that morning with a stiff back. I could barely move. We did the best that we could that morning, and that was it. I had multiple conversations with Daniel Cormier that week. Our fellow friend of ours, Lazy the Savage, she's my photographer. Mike is very good friends with him, and kind of reached out to DC to be like, hey, can you just give her some advice? You've been here. Like, she's really upset. And, and I have all that. And that's not for me to say I'm excusing it, but I'm just explaining it, because I don't have an excuse. She knocked me out. She hit me in the right spot and I got knocked out. But I want to know that the next time the game plan was not to stand in front of her the way that I did. I was just too scared that if I made the wrong move, my back would be done. And secondly, I needed the money. I needed the financial gain that it was automatically guaranteeing me. And I'd never seen that kind of money in my life. Moving to Las Vegas, relocating, my brother and my coach, taking on 2 new humans to financially be responsible for on top of my 2 Shih Tzus. I mean, it was a lot. It was definitely way more than what I should have bit off. But, it's nice that when you go through such traumatic things, you actually really learn more. And unfortunately, I'm very hard-headed. So without all that happening, I don't know that I would have learned the true lesson. And that was, after this last fight, I told Eric, I'm like, hey, my elbow, I don't know that we're going to make it even through another fight camp that way if we don't. And, we may do that.
Well, all right. So I wanted to see how long it was going to take me for me to bring this up, because it seems like in my last few interviews, I'm always mentioning to my guest, I did it to Coach Eric, and I did it to the other 2 guests I had this week on this series, about run-ins and encounters I've had with everyone, and you guys had no idea who I am. Now, I know I told you yesterday that I saw you in Chicago, but what I didn't tell you is I was in the workout room one of the nights, because we were invited by somebody else at the hotel to come check out the workout room, and me and a friend stayed for like 10 minutes and just watched you work out, and my friend's a gambler, and he looked at me and he's like, dude, I want to bet the house. She looks so good. Like, you had me and my friend so convinced that was your time. And so I never questioned your mentality and your mindset. And it's crazy to hear you break down your injury, because in training, you look possibly the best I've ever seen you.
And I did, and that's like that was something that, again, we were dealing with every day. Like it was up and down, like through the entire time of that camp. From like, I've been debating on releasing some of that footage, because the days would go, like some days my back would be fine, and then I'm like, all right, there's a little something there, we'll be okay. And that's how fight week was. Like fight week was probably the worst fight week I've ever had. Our flight got canceled. We didn't even make it in until Wednesday. By the time we got there Wednesday, all of my media stuff had gotten pushed. And I think that's actually the day that you probably saw me was Wednesday night. And yep. I was just like, I was running on adrenaline, man. I was so pissed. I was like, I can't fucking believe it. We're here on Wednesday. I've had all this stuff to do. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to do this. And my back felt great. I was like, fuck yeah, I feel good. Like, maybe this is all just going to come through. Like, I truly believe, like, all the spiritual stuff, all of the life-changing, motivational things that you could ever say to yourself. I'm like, man, this is my time, this is it. And my team was convinced. Like, dude, her back finally, we had waited on it. We had gotten all the injections that there were possible, and they just kept saying, one day she could wake up and it's going to finally, the nerve will finally calm down, or it's not. It was great. Wednesday happens. Thursday happens with practice. We make it through the weight cut. Friday happens, we rehydrate, and then literally from Friday to Saturday, it's like from the weight cut to the actual fight and probably the weight gain back up, my back just like instantly got stiff. So like you can see it in my performance, like if we like broke down my performance, you can see how stiff my hips are compared to how I usually am with my movement and with my head movement. I was moving my head, not my hips, and that's something that like, goes on to like my whole entire fight, style, and you get to finally see that change in me against Vivian, because, let's face it, had Vivian had beaten me, she would be next in line for that title shot against, whoever is the winner of this one. So I feel like rightfully so, if they offered me JoJo and, Vivian, they were trying to build her, and again, I showed why I'm still the best in this division, when I'm healthy, that, that I'm back on track, and that I'm not hiding injuries, and there's really no secret. I feel like all of my injury secrets are out of there. Like, I really don't have any other, like, secrets. Like, if someone was like, oh, man, Jessica's got a bad back, like, I'm going to tell those people. Like, people already know that. That's like, all right, tell us something different. Like, oh, Jessica had elbow surgery. Like, there's nothing that, right. Like, I feel like is like a, like someone could use against me.
Oh,
you know
sure.
what I mean? Like,
now, let me ask you this. When
especially
you talk about...
with having Eric and the PI have been so supportive. So it's kind of like they, that makes it, that just makes it easy to look at people and be like, yeah, I'm fine. Just so you know, I've got the best of the best.
Well, and I think that's one thing, and I think, you can tell your story better than anyone else, but when, if I am asked, I think you're someone who bets on herself, and you really don't really care what anyone else, the critics or the internet trolls or anyone really has to say about you. You've always bet on yourself. Just to backtrack, when things weren't going your way, a few years ago, you took time off, you made a move from Ohio to Las Vegas. I would even credit you tremendously for knowing the injuries you had going up into the fight against Valentina. You still bet on yourself. And obviously, you laid out why you stepped in there, and it's obviously great to be financially stable, given all the circumstances, but you've always bet on yourself and you've never paid attention to background noise. I'm just curious, from your point of view, where did that mindset come from for you? Because this game is ridiculous and it's brutal, but you've always just bet on yourself and you've ignored everything around you.
Because, this is my life and this is my story and this is what I'm doing. I don't focus on what other people say, especially when I haven't hurt other people, right, or done other people wrong. I feel like you can kind of live that life when you mind your own business. I'm very to myself. Sometimes people will be like, I thought you were so mean. And then I talk to you and I was like, oh my God, she's awesome. I just mind my own business and I stick to me, because I can't be one of those people that can be easily influenced and hurt by the wrong kind of situations. And when I say easily influenced, meaning that I could listen to the background noises of people telling me I'm the ugliest girl, I look like a dude, or I'm the worst fighter, or like all these things. Like it's easy for those kinds of things to seep in, So if I don't put myself out there in a way that I feel like could really damage me, it's one of the reasons that how I promote myself. I feel like it allows me to have that shell that people can't get close enough to truly hurt me.
What is
it took a long time. It took allowing people to affect me, and then seeing how bad it hurt me. It took me a couple of years to finally do it, but it was when I tested positive for marijuana in my very first UFC fight. That's kind of really when it started, and then losing a couple fights in a row in the wrong weight class. It was that time of my life, on top of some family issues. My father coming down with brain cancer, then dying. Like all these accumulated things happened that I woke up one day and I was just like, I have to be strong. For me, there's just no other choice, and the choice was to be strong and to not let things hurt.
Let's get a couple of these things out of the way. One, you don't look like a man, and I wish you could kick everybody in the face who said that. Two, anyone calling you a terrible fighter probably would never step on the other side of the cage with you, so they can all eat shit. Again, I told you, this is a different type of conversation and interview. It's just crazy to me, and I think one of the biggest things I've always wanted to talk to you about personally is being a woman in such a violent, vicious sport where your biggest critic is Randy, who's a 900-pound dude who's never left his house or stepped into a gym, and he's sitting at the bar going, these girls can't fucking fight. They suck.
But that's my point. You say best. Like, who is that guy to me, and why does he, I just don't care.
Right.
About those kinds of people.
So, but, and obviously it's an easy answer there, but how do you, and what would be your advice to other, female fighters in this sport inside the UFC, because you do have such a strong, confident personality where you can just ignore all of that, because that does play a factor in the sport, and it's somewhat disgusting that people who, and I'm not here to body shame anybody, but if you've never stepped inside the cage, who are you to criticize those who are putting their lives on the line every time they step in there?
They, I guess one of the biggest things is it's self-reflection, and teaching yourself. I've been able to be the one to teach myself that, and I did it even on days when I wasn't at my best, but I believed it, and all of a sudden, it taught me to have my own confidence and care about what I think. That it's my biggest advice to others is have a good relationship with yourself. And if you come to terms with the things that you don't like about yourself, nobody can make you feel insecure. And all the things you feel good about yourself, no one can ever challenge that. So you have to have a good relationship with the person inside your head and the way that you treat yourself. Or those insecurities will come through when people really try to challenge you or, mess with your confidence. One thing anybody will do is no one can tell me I suck and then I'm going to go have a sucky performance. That's never going to happen. Like that, no one's going to be like, oh, you're terrible, and I'm going to listen to that and go do it. But that's because I have a good relationship with myself.
I love that mindset, and I think that message does wonders for a lot of people. Now, I know you were just on Instagram asking about walkout songs. Your last one was You Should See Me in a Crown by Billie Eilish. You want to talk about being comfortable with yourself? I just turned 28 years old, and I am a man, and I am here to tell you, Jessica, I love Billie Eilish, so you got another bonus point on my end. What was the reason behind that song?
Well, there were so many things. So Darren, my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach, who is 38, so if it makes you feel any better, he's 38 and absolutely loves Billie, because that's how I found out about Billie. It's like he brought her to me. He's like, Jessica, have you ever heard this girl? She reminds me of you. And I was like, so that's when my love of music for her just grew. She was doing different things. She was changing the way music was being looked at in that particular genre. She just did an amazing job. But I just felt like every time I choose my walkout song, so everybody walks out to the same walkout song and comes out to the same thing. And for me, like, every song always has a different feeling for what's going on in my life. And usually the lyrics either reflect to who I am or what I'm going through. Like, after the whole, like, drug test debacle and all that, like, I came out to Don Henley's Dirty Laundry. So, like, I always come out to crazy songs, but You Should See Me in a Crown is basically just, like, a warning shot to, like, the entire division and, you know, to everybody that, like, that's my crown. I believe it wholeheartedly. I have said that since I came to 125. And before I even left 125, this world knew who I was, and my journey has been nothing less than entertaining to everybody for good and bad reasons. That I know how my story ends, and how I'm going to make sure I write it. So it's like, I felt like that's kind of what Billie does, and I feel like that's what her music was speaking to me on. So You Should See Me in a Crown was just perfect fitting. It's just like, I literally, like, I've never wanted to fight someone more in my life after hearing that song.
I love that. Like, I love that. Well, so I know fitting. When I heard it.
It was so fitting. It sounded great in the fucking arena. Like, it was like, it just kind of had fitting to everything, you know, us missing weight, you know, which was completely me. It was my mismanaging of getting ready to have a menstrual cycle on top of, you know, looking at Eric and those guys and going, either we call the fight and I struggle and I don't make it in time, or we just pay the fine and I'll take care of it. I'll take this one on my nose. But, you know, the most important thing is we're fighting, you know, so. Yeah, so then when I heard, like, all those things going into it, I just felt like Billie Power. I literally was like, Billie, help me, give me good energy, like, give me your good juju. Like, we listened to All I Ever Wanted, and, like, literally me and Darren, like, and my brother sat there, and, you know, as the fight was here in Vegas, so, like, I had a car service literally come pick me up on my own. I didn't have to meet to go anywhere, literally picked me up on my own and took me to the arena, and it was the coolest fucking thing I've ever done in my life. It was like, I literally listened to All I Ever Wanted by Billie, like, cheered up a little bit, grabbed my gym bag, walked out my front door, got in the car, showed up at the arena with Eric and those guys, and we were like, all right, so we're fighting. Time to go to work. It was literally the coolest experience I've ever had.
Well, two things. One, I got to say, I was at a local bar here watching your fight, and when you came out and I heard the music, I was like, oh, shit. That's a message to the division. And I was like, now I'm ready for this fight. So, like, the same way where you're like, all right, I needed Billie, I got Billie. And then the second thing, if Jorge, and I love Jorge Masvidal, this is not a shot at him, but if this man can get The Rock to come out to his fights, we got to make this a social media. Like, we got to get Billie to your next fight. When things calm down, dude, we got to get Billie to your next fight.
I'm, like, a huge Billie fan. So, like, even, like, going into that fight week, like, my outfit we got, like, was, like, Billie inspired. Like, we were all, like, totally, like, I'm just, like, I adore her. We need more girls like her in this world for our younger generation of women. And, you know, it's just girls who stand for themselves, no matter what the impression is. And it's the same with fighting. Like, I might have gotten knocked out my last fight, but that is the only time I've ever been knocked out. And that just is one time. It doesn't mean that you get to sit there and judge me all the time, and you don't get to. That's a part of it, but like you don't get to just keep judging me on that, you know. So it's like, I don't know. I'm totally channeling my Billie. So yes, we got to get her there.
Yeah, no, trust me.
It'll happen.
It'll happen. I'm a nobody compared to you, but if I can help push this campaign, if I can help start this campaign, we'll make sure Billie's at your next fight. You know, and
so my new publicist is, her name's Jennifer Keene and Jeff Diamond. They work for Octagon Management Media, so like they do tons of big name stars in the industry. They're kind of like WME, and me and her have been going back and forth, and she's like, I'm going to try Jess. Like, she manages, you know, like, she manages extremely high-level people in like, the media industry and in the movies. So she's like, I'll do my best, Jess. We'll do what we can to get him there, or to get her there.
All right, so does this mean Jessica I has a future in TV and movies after her fighting career?
I am. I definitely am. You know, we've been working on a couple good things, you know, obviously because this stuff is kind of going on. We put in some halts on some of the things we're going to do. But one is, getting into TV, as well as, a book and myself, like really kind of getting out there and sharing. I guess one of the things I have to be better about is sharing some of the things and experiences. So yeah, there will be something soon.
Let me ask you this, and there's a few other things I want to ask you about, but I've gotten so hooked on the story of Jessica I, and I think you're a huge motivator for a lot of younger women and young girls. I'm currently in Jersey, and I'm living with my niece, who's 8 years old. What is your life message to younger girls, not necessarily who want to get into fighting, but since you have this connection with Billie Eilish, who can break the internet by being like, screw you, I'm going to show off my body and there's nothing you can say to me or about me that's going to affect me. And, you have a comeback story yourself, Jessica, and you bet on yourself, like I mentioned earlier. What is your message to like the younger women and young girls in this world?
So there's two. One is the, I believe. I believe is something that everybody should say to themselves in the mirror about anything that they really want to give themselves. If it's like, I want to get 100 on this test, I believe I'll get 100 on this test. I believe is something that, I've done for years. But my biggest one for, I guess, really, truly everybody and anybody would be is self-belief is better than social disapproval. And I think that that's the biggest message, is that the way that you feel about yourself and the relationship you have with yourself has to be healthy and has to be correct. That doesn't mean that you can, that just because there has to be levels to it, right? So you can't do bad things and then say my self-belief. It's self-belief and it is being good to others and being a good person yourself. So really is being a good person and, working on being a good person is always going to get you the better result.
Just a few more here for you, Jessica, and I really appreciate all your time today. Now, you moved from strong style in Cleveland. You bet on yourself, like I continue to say, and you moved down to Las Vegas, and you're at Extreme Couture. And I'm super thankful to your coach for helping make this happen. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. But inside the gym, inside the cage, for your fighting career, what has that move to Extreme Couture done for you?
Oh my God, I don't know if there's enough time in this conversation or on this phone call to be able to re-say all that again. But, moving to Vegas has probably been the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I think that we're a year in now to me being in Vegas at the beginning of the month, and I've just found myself to be a different person, and it's crazy because I encourage everybody to step outside their comfort zone and to move, but I'm still overwhelmed with the words to explain everything that has happened with my move. I'm so thankful for Eric Nixick. He has been such a mentor, a teacher, a friend. I mean, a coach. Like, he really has done so much for me, as well as, Gray Maynard. The man is just, a UFC legend of all. And, as well as my brother, my jiu-jitsu coach, and Bo Sandoval, those tall group of guys have been just so there for me. It's crazy. So my move here has been absolutely incredible. It's still developing, you think a year is a long time, but it's really not. You know what I mean? When I remember when it came up on a year, I was like, has it already been a year? It didn't seem like it's been that long. And I don't know if that means because I'm in the right place, that I'm just living in the moment and things aren't rushing, but it's really truly been incredible. I'm so fortunate for the new relationships that I've created here, that they've made old ones that, were in Ohio just as strong, or if not stronger. And then unfortunately it severed some of them. And, I guess that's, just the way that things will have to be, but it's hard to look at anything else other than what's right in front of me when I love so much of what's going on, and it's kind of hard to look back.
Well, again, I think your story just preaches not only to fighting, but to life in general. Now, you obviously fought in December. you made the decision to go ahead and have the surgery, and you really at the perfect time given the pandemic going on. There's so much, and I just got to get your take on it. There's so much criticism towards Dana White and the UFC for wanting to make UFC 249 happen. Listen, if I was just being a fan right now, Tony and Khabib have to fight. And I think it's crazy that we're looking at possibly the 5th cancellation or postponement of this fight when this is kind of what fans get, right? Because they're like, I would watch Tony and Khabib. I don't care when it happens, where it happens. These two need to fight. Yeah, well, now it might happen in an empty arena, and Joe Rogan won't even be calling the fight, which I think is a story for another day. I think that's a travesty. But what are your thoughts on the UFC wanting to continue during all this chaos going on in this world?
Well, I think the UFC is doing what we're not governed by commission. Like, the NFL has one commission that controls everywhere they go in the U.S. Like, there's a bunch of individual commissions, and there's also areas of the U.S. that are not as affected by this, as much as other places are. So it's a double-edged sword in that way, too, because at the same time, we're not like NFL guys or NBA or any of them who have some guaranteed money in our contracts. We get money based upon when we fight, and some of us are budgeting just enough just to get to that next fight and to that next paycheck. So I can see it in both ways. The UFC isn't doing anything extra for us in that regard when it comes to our finances. So I can see why some of these fighters want to fight. So I mean, I try not to have too much of an opinion on it because there's not really much that I can do, and there's not really much that I can help with, or it affecting me, at the direct moment. So, like, I support whatever it is that the company wants to do. I hope that they open up the UFC Performance Institute sooner than later because that's one of my main places I train. So it's like, I'm kind of in between, you know what I mean? I could see all the levels of what everyone is saying, but, ultimately, if it's our choice, you know what I mean? And if they're able to screen us before we fight and are able to screen the fighters before they fight, then why not?
I think
why not just make it happen? I would love to fight in an empty arena. I would absolutely fight in an empty arena all day long.
Really? Why is that? I gotta ask.
Because I could care less. There's my number one. I don't make any more or any less, no matter where I'm at. Like, our last fight card, when me and one of my teammates, Puna, we both actually fought, like, the second and third fight. And it was probably, like, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when the actual fight was taking place. I'm like, that's perfect. That's training time. I don't have to wait all day. My body's used to training at that time, right? There's probably going to be half the places filled, which I could give a shit who's in the seats or not, because all my friends will be there, and they're the only ones I like, obviously I care about the fans, but, like, when it comes down to it, like, if they're not there, like, then what can I do? I still have to do my job. So for me, it was like, I don't know, I could do it with nobody in the arena and 1 million people in the arena.
I love it. Well, I got to make sure
the crowd doesn't do it. The crowd doesn't do anything for me in that way unless I have some type of, like, emotional connection. And again, that goes back to the same thing before, like, where it's really, really hard for people to get through to me in that way. Like, it's hard to, someone might tell me, on Twitter or something, like, Jessica, you're ugly in this, and I might tell them to go fuck off. Like, that's about as much as I care or think about it. Does that make sense? So,
oh, no, it absolutely doesn't. I find those people so funny, and, it's crazy, and I always reference this, not that you care, but, when people ask me my style of interviewing and all that, I do reflect and recall when Tyron Woodley was on Rogan's podcast a couple years ago, and he was like, yeah, they don't really want me to be champion, and, this and that, and then he starts to veer off, and Rogan was like, what are you talking about? Who? He's like, who are you talking about? And Woodley's like, yeah, He's like, dude, are you talking about like Twitter and Instagram comments? He's like, you're the goddamn 170-pound champion of the world. That belt right there represents that. You could tell everybody to fuck off. Stop reading that shit. I'm not here to tell you to stop reading that, but I'm here to tell you, like, I love the clapback. And I see it, and honestly, and this isn't me getting on, like, women's rights and all that, but it pisses me off so much more because I feel female fighters get it so much more because it's, one, they're not saying it to your face, and two, they think, oh, I'm a guy, I'm superior. It's fighting. What do you know about fighting? And I've been in bar fights. You don't know shit about actual fighting. I could do a better job than you. And it's like, it frustrates me that female fighters get that response or those comments more often than male fighters.
I think that, going back to the Woodley thing, is that I think that what that shows in that kind of conversation is that men are not immune to insecurities or self-doubt. I think that that's one thing, right? And
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
also that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you're, male or female. So I do think that is one of the good things to take of it. However, I think what happens is that it's hard, or that they almost like that, we're in a male-based sport, right? When people always say, and being like, oh, females, I never want to be on all female cards. I don't want to be on that card. If that fight happens, I don't want to be on it. And I could sound like the most sexist person in the world when I say that for females, but it's a matter of, if we team up, we become better and we become bigger. If it's about secluding, then what are we generally doing for anybody, right? So it's the more that we come together in that way, there won't be this constant separation in that way. But also at the same time, this is a male-dominant sport. It wasn't like this, this sport happened with two chicks, and all of a sudden two chicks started this Krav Maga school, and then another one started a shoot fighting school. This is a male-based sport, and that's not even a knock on women, but it was, right? That's what it is. It would be no different than when men, such as guys like Jeffree Star, who come into the female industry where, makeup was originally started by women. So you see what I'm saying? So I feel like we have to realize, the nature of the beast also too. You know what I mean? This is a male dominant sport, and if that's something we're gonna have to deal with, then the women just have to remember that same application to where they won't let a guy they're dating treat them like crap, then why would they let some random retard on the internet say bad things to them, to make the fact that it would make them feel less about themselves?
Absolutely makes total sense. Before I let you go, because I know you're anxious and excited to get back in there and get some training in at Extreme Couture, we should see you in a crown. I think eventually. The reality is we could definitely see you with the title wrapped around your waist, especially at full strength and full health. What is Jessica Ai's message to the UFC women's flyweight division?
They're already scared of me. I don't have to say anything else that they don't already know. They're hoping I just keep getting injured and somehow I walk off. It'd make their life a lot easier. I guess my biggest message is that I'm healthy and I'm coming.
I love it. I honestly have enjoyed this even more than I thought I would. It's been an honor and a pleasure to talk to you. I can't wait to see when everything returns back to normal. When you do get back in there, your story is one, I think, of perseverance, self-belief, taking chances, and I think you have a message that can be spread far further than just inside, the world of combat sports. So, Jessica, thank you so much. Congrats on getting back in there, and I can't wait to see you get back in there with full health.
Thank you, and yeah, hopefully we're fighting again here in Las Vegas, because I definitely like fighting here more than I do anywhere else. So hopefully we'll see us the return sooner than later.
Well, I'll be selfish and say if it's New Jersey or New York, I'm okay with that. But I
could come up there though too.
I've never been to Las Vegas though, so I've never been to Vegas. It's kind of sad.
But maybe that's what'll be the time. It'll be the time for you to come to Vegas and watch a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Jessica, thank you so much, and hope we can talk again soon.
Awesome, thanks.
Oops, hung up on Jessica Ai. I am so sorry about that. I messed that one up big time. Let's see. I'm actually gonna send her a text and just make sure she's not mad I hung up on her. I'm actually literally texting her as I finish this episode up. Oh, that's great. That's me, right? Have a great near 40-minute conversation with Jessica Ai, and I hang up. But I think it's an amazing story, the one of Jessica Ai, and I think it's not done yet. So big thank you to Jessica for joining us. And as I continue to say on these episodes, I will continue to say, guys, this pandemic is real and it's serious. Let's continue to practice social distancing. Let's continue to practice good hygiene. And let's fully stay up to date on everything around us. And let's be conscious about all of our actions and what we are doing throughout those, decisions that we're making in our day-to-day life. Super excited to hear when Jessica I gets back into the cage. Nice little revelation there that she was possibly going to be fighting at UFC Columbus, but everything happens for a reason. I think that's another chapter in Jessica I's story. So let's make this Billie Eilish movement happen as well. Like we gotta make this happen. We have to absolutely make this happen. Big thank you to Jessica for joining me. This is Inside the Cage with myself, Mike Pendleton, on bjpenn.com. Stay locked and loaded here on our YouTube page, on Twitter at bjpenn.com, at mp2310 for myself. Follow me on Instagram at mikep2310. Let's get these damn follows up, please. Listen, during these current times, I understand that that's not the most important thing in this world, but help a brother out. So,